benefits the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With BFL, teaching you food choices to see it through. BFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, that helps futures lose pride.
What's up, everybody? I sound like Lacey Green. What's up? Hi, I'm Robert Ferguson. You're a nutritionist, a guy who shares because I care. And today is no different. Now, before I dive in, we talk about something that I want everyone to know. Everyone who has any interest in losing weight, you want to know what I'm about to share with you. Anyone who has migraines or high blood pressure, and you want to know something that you may not know, but in knowing, it can put you in a position where you could win. So for some of you, it's new information, and for others, it's information that's being reinforced. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you. Now, before we dive in to talking about the role of insulin in both weight loss and weight gain, insulin being a hormone, before we go into that, I want to invite you to our upcoming Food as Medicine conference. It's online. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to rent a hotel. You don't have to be eating at restaurants, but it's 2 days. You got a few hours on Friday, and then we got a good amount of time on Saturday, and then you have access to on demand, and you can watch the videos, download what we make available. We're going to talk about so many cool things. I have other presenters that are going to be part of this. We're going to talk about microplastics. We're going to talk about, oh man, I have one guest, and it's going to come down to the wire, but and if for some reason he's not there, which I believe he's going to be there live, he is someone that I look up to. He's been around for years. He's a psychiatrist and a psychologist, a military background, very strong, and has done multiple studies that if people were aware of these studies, I really believe it could help other people become healthier. It would give them a chance to equal the playing field, if that makes sense. So we're going to have that. And then I got some other surprises that are going to also be made available. I'm going to be unveiling. I want you to hear me on this one. I'm unveiling. Let me say it again and again. Unveiling our new program at this conference called the 6-week metabolic makeover. So it addresses metabolic syndrome. This is a new program that we have. It's 6 weeks long. And all of our coaches, you'll be able to access this program through our coaches. And then we're going to have an online version of it. But it's something that all of our coaches, to include myself, can make available to our clients. It's awesome. So, and then there's some other links down there. But look at all the other links. I kind of don't remember exactly what I have there, but everything there is important. And I also have a link where you can schedule a free consultation. That means that instead of guessing, this schedule, all I need is 10, 15, 20 minutes with you on the phone. And I may be able to give you an answer that can help you out. You may become a client. Maybe you'll work with me, or maybe you'll work with one of our coaches. But when we have our conversation, we can talk about all of that. Okay. Now I want you to take notes because I don't have any slides as we talk about this. I don't have any slides, but I'm going to go slow enough. I'll repeat myself, kind of go forward, come back, repeat myself, go forward, because I want you to own what I'm going to share with you. And then you're going to have a better understanding for why we're very successful on helping our clients be successful. And this will also give you clarity and help you realize why many people who are looking to lose weight will probably never be successful. And that's not saying that you got to work with us. I'm just telling you what we know to be true. And what we know to be true is the role of insulin for weight loss and weight gain. So the big question is, what is insulin? Do we know what insulin is? I mean, insulin is a hormone that comes out of our pancreas, okay? It's a hormone that is very important. It's a hormone that is primarily known for helping to get sugar that's floating around in your blood out of the blood and into the cells. So that's what it's primarily known for. Now, insulin as a hormone does many things, but we could say that it plays a huge role in dictating how energy is to be stored or utilized as it pertains to our cells, right? Because you have fat in the cell and you want fat to leave the cell and be oxidized or burned, right? If not used for fuel. And if fat goes in the cell, we always want to make sure we're in a position where it can come out of the cell. So insulin is playing that role. Insulin is very important in understanding when you want to lose weight. And when I say lose weight, I am referring to losing fat. Okay. So what is insulin? What is the big role? Well, we know what insulin is. We know where it comes from. And before I dive in, let me give you an example. By asking you the question, have you ever known someone who's a type 1 diabetic? Now, if someone's a type 1 diabetic, that means that they don't produce insulin. And years ago, before they discovered insulin, where we can use it for people who are type 1 today, going back to the early 20s, I believe 1921, when they discovered it, insulin, like kids who were type 1, they didn't live long. They didn't live long. And they did everything they could to keep these kids alive. Part of the challenge is that you want to feed the kid so they have enough nutrients and they're not missing nutrients. But if you feed them too much without insulin, all of those nutrients, right, specifically the carbs, they just build up in the bloodstream. And if it builds up in the bloodstream, that's when they start talking about having problems with their kidneys. That's when you hear people saying they went blind when they became a type 2 diabetic because of the buildup of sugar in the blood. They experience neuropathy. They can't feel with their fingers and their toes. Not good. But imagine you're a type 1. You don't produce any insulin. You need insulin to store, to take those nutrients, get them into the cells, and so your body can thrive, right? You need insulin to nurture your body and to live a nice, healthy life. If you're a type 1, you don't have it. Now, what can a type 1 diabetic do that a type 2 or like any one of us that doesn't have diabetes, what can they do that we can't do? Well, if you're a type 1 diabetic and you don't have insulin, and this is point number 1 I want everyone to get. If you don't produce insulin in your body, if you're a type 1, you could eat 2 whole pizzas and you will not gain a pound. That food will just go right through you because you don't have insulin. Now, you'll suffer from other challenges because of the flooding of food in your system, specifically sugar. But that could end really bad. But without insulin, you could eat a lot of food and not gain a pound. But don't think that's a good thing, because if you do eat a lot of food and you don't use insulin, then you're set up for all the other negatives. So that's how important insulin is. Now, if you're a type 2 diabetic, well, you quickly discover that if you're going to have that slice of cake, you're going to eat that extra burger or have those extra fries, you'll just inject more insulin so that you can get the sugar floating around in your blood out of the blood and into the cells. You could do that, and many people do, and it's never a good thing. So whenever you're using insulin with my clients, I get them to use the minimal amount of insulin possible. The minimal amount of insulin possible. And some of the people who are dependent on insulin, they just can't lose weight because they have to inject insulin. So as you can see, insulin is important, but insulin plays a huge role on if we are able to lose fat or if we find ourselves gaining weight. Now, I'm not going to even get into insulin resistance, but I think everybody's at a point now where we kind of get what Robert's saying. Okay, I hope so. Okay. When insulin is floating around in your blood, so insulin's floating around in your blood, your fat cells, and there's enzymes responsible for this, basically lock up and keep the fat in the cells. So if insulin is present, whether it's a petri dish or whether it's in your own body or the dog down the street, when insulin is circulating, right, you've had a secretion of insulin, you cannot release fat. Now you may say, well, I know someone based on what you're saying, Robert, and they had insulin. I know they had insulin. I saw them eating and I watched them lose weight. So then I would say, was it fat weight primarily, or was it skeletal muscle that they lost to include water? See, you can lose weight on the scale, but if you're not keeping track of your body composition, like looking at your body fat percentages from the last time to this time, then we don't know if the weight that you got rid of is fat weight or if it's primarily coming from skeletal muscle and water. We know that muscle holds a good amount of water. It's like muscle is made up, if you look at the weight, about 75% water. So with muscle, you're going to have more water, right? If you got a bodybuilder, I mean, they can have 70% of their weight on the scale made up of water because they have so much muscle. When people lose muscle or they don't have as much muscle, then that gets replaced. They don't have as much water in their body. Fat doesn't hold on to the same amount of water as your muscles. And fat is not as active as far as burning calories, right? To thrive or to remain compared to muscle. So muscle is more what they call metabolically more active. It's burning more fuel. It holds more water. So a person can lose weight on the scale, but that doesn't mean it's the right weight. And if you continue to do that in a lifetime, which many of you are falling into that category, then it gets harder and harder to lose weight. And part of that is that you become more and more insulin resistant. So everyone, almost everyone, when they think about losing weight, okay, they're just looking at the scale. And they're not thinking about insulin. They're primarily focused on sugar, carbs. And insulin circulating in your body is way more important to understand than sugar circulating in your body. Because sugar could be circulating in your body and you can still release fat and burn it. But if insulin is present, it locks up. You're not going to burn that fat. That's why some of you start to lose weight. It doesn't really come off. You get discouraged. Then you want to try something else. Then you jump on keto or one of these other diets and you start avoiding food groups and you see some weight coming off the scale. But again, you're not even paying attention to whether or not that weight is fat weight or if it's primarily skeletal muscle. This is very important. This is why people who have a coach, they get good results. I mean, I talk to my clients, the ones that I coach and talk to on a regular, they're not gaining weight. Weight's coming off and they're winning. Clients I haven't talked to in a while, which is fine. And I take my hat off to the ones who get back on track. They give me a call. They're doing great. I just had a client this morning. I was so happy to see her on my calendar. Hadn't talked to her in a few months. We got on the phone and she was quick to tell me that she put on a few pounds, but she's okay. And she says, Robert, I'm back. I go, great. So then we went over the plan for the next week. Then I told her next week I'm going to show her, give her insight into our new program. Because she's my client. I'm going to do this with all my clients. So all of my clients in the next week, you're going to get a quick glimpse at the 6-week metabolic makeover program. I can't wait to share it with you. Okay. And new clients, I'll share with you too. All right. So insulin, if it's present, we can't drop fat. So if anybody need me to go back over that, are we good? Okay. And even if you're catching a replay, if there's a question that you have, post it, because I do go back and I'll be notified if there's a question, and I'll come back and answer any questions. Okay. As long as I can answer. That's the goal. All right. So now we know that if insulin is circulating in the body, if insulin is in your bloodstream, it's way more difficult for you to lose fat. Okay. How do you know if insulin is circulating in your bloodstream? Well, if you inject it, you know. But let's talk about the average person. See, when we're coaching people, right, and when we coach you, a big part of our program, right, the methodology is teaching you how to combine foods in the right combinations. And that alone helps you optimize your glycemic profile, like your blood sugar. But through our coaching, and we have this new thing that we're sharing with clients now, we have your insulin profile, how to manage your insulin profile, meaning some foods and some beverages are going to secrete or cause your pancreas to secrete more insulin. We're going to tell you which foods cause more insulin to be secreted, because you could be eating few calories. Like, let's say your calories, because you believe that lie, right? And I'm not saying you, but let's just say the people who believe that calories in, calories out, right, is the bigger part of how you lose weight. Well, you could be eating little calories, but if insulin is being secreted in your bloodstream, the weight you're losing is not fat weight. You're losing the wrong type of weight. So, knowing that, I want to eat in a way where my insulin levels are not fully elevated. And there's certain foods that cause more insulin to be secreted compared to others. Like I've shared this before, right? I'll say, if you took 50 grams of an apple and you compared it to 50 grams of apple juice, no sugar added, same amount of carbs, whether it's the juice or whether it's the apple. If you only look at the sugar response, they're basically the same. I'm referring to the glycemic index. An apple that you eat or the apple that you drink, if you only look at sugar, they're basically the same. But that's where people blow it. And sometimes they don't even want to hear it because it freaks them out. And you can't even argue this. This is solid science. See, when you eat the apple, so let's say that if you're talking about the glycemic index, I think the apple measures in at 38 and the apple juice is around 41 on the index. So both of those are low. So let's say it goes from 0 to 100. But when you look at the insulin response, the apple, let's say on 0 to 100, the apple, let's say, is at 20. The apple juice is almost 90. And it's insulin, an elevated insulin, it's called hyperinsulinemia. It's elevated insulin that is one of the primary drivers for people living with migraines. Yep. How many of you guys might have migraines? I can show you exactly how to eat. And if you usually get migraines, I'm willing to bet you will not get a migraine when you combine your foods the way we teach people to combine their foods. And there's a lot of people that lose work because of migraines. Let's say erectile dysfunction. There's a lot of men looking for that pill trying to figure out what they can do to fix that part of who they are. And a primary reason why they're having that challenge, insulin is playing a big role in that. I guarantee you there's some insulin resistance. How many people have inflammation in their body and they're challenged with that? Insulin plays a big role. How many people are on high blood pressure medication? Your doctors never even brought it up. And I could show you all of the scientific papers, a ton of proof that it's clear that hyperinsulinemia, elevated insulin, is a primary reason why people end up with whether it's erectile dysfunction, high blood pressure, migraines, PCOS. Look at all of the people, these women, and a lot of young kids more today than ever. PCOS, that's insulin resistance on the ovaries. So it's insulin that's not being addressed. It's insulin that is important to understand. If you eat something and you have insulin, right, and it's floating around, and let's say you do not have insulin resistance, we know that inside of 3 hours, that insulin is going to go up. So you're going to have a little secretion from the pancreas. And then within 3 hours, it's going to be back down. That's someone who is what they call insulin sensitive, meaning you do not have insulin resistance. Now, a lot of people have insulin resistance. And when they secrete insulin, it goes up, right? And remember, when it's floating around the bloodstream, you cannot release fat. If you didn't have insulin resistance, within 2 to 3 hours, it's back down and you could be burning fat. You're good to go. But if you have insulin resistance, it can stay elevated for 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. And that means if you eat again or snack again, it pumps it back up. And so if you have insulin constantly elevated, you're going to crave. Yep. You're going to crave. You're going to want to eat a lot of things. The migraines are not going to go away. The blood pressure is never going to be under control. And that's why your doctor's putting you on this pill, that pill, another pill, and they're constantly until something sticks and they can get the number down, never, ever going to the real cause for why the blood pressure's up. Think about it. You go to the doctor tomorrow and you get lab work. You can tell the doctor, hey, I want to get my fasting glucose done. Sorry. Let's say you want to get because they're used to that. You want your fasting insulin done. But they're going to think you meant fasting glucose. So with my clients now, because it's very challenging sometimes to get the lab work that we know would be good to look at, I always say, hey, ask them if you can get, aside from your triglycerides and cholesterol, ask if they will test your fasting glucose and your fasting insulin. So if you ask for both, then they know that you actually purposely do want your fasting insulin. And then when we have your fasting glucose and your fasting insulin, we can look and be really clear on what level of insulin resistance you do have. See, if you don't fix the insulin resistance, you're never going to really lose the weight. And if you do lose the weight, it's going to be the same as people do Ozempic and Wegovy. They lose skeletal muscle. Look at these people. Many of them, you can tell that they look older. And this is no dig on those of you who are taking the drugs. I'm not here to beat you up. Some of you didn't know any better. You're just doing what your doctors told you. I get it. But look at the people who are losing weight on these drugs. The reason why they look so much older is because they've lost skeletal muscle. That's one of the fastest and easiest ways to age in your face is to lose muscle. If you want to continue to look youthful, it does help to eat right, but you got to do what is necessary to keep your skeletal muscle. Right? Look at someone who's a little older and they go through chemo. Yeah, they lost some weight, but they will never look the same. Or someone who's bedridden, right, and they don't move and they experience atrophy of their muscles. They lose muscle. They never look the same. And then they're more likely to experience osteoporosis. They're more likely to experience a hip fracture. It's not a good thing. Like, we have a product that I endorse called Balance Oil. This is the best product supplement I've ever seen for how it can help everybody at all ages, touching on mental health, skeletal, preserving your muscle, helping your skin, eyesight, all of these things that making sure you have an adequate amount of omega-3 in your body with polyphenols. It makes all of these things possible. And then as I'm introducing it to people, I'm watching them get the benefits. I'm watching triglycerides come down significantly, blood pressure come under control. And this was before they started the product. But the best thing I like is the test. You get a balance test. It's a test you can do right at home. And in 10 to 20 business days, you get your results, a 20-page result. And everyone that I've given this to, there's been quite a few people in the last 8 months. Everybody's better. Everyone's numbers is better. Everyone. And then to find out, right, because I have all the data on this, and I wrote an article, but I'm gonna write another one, where the amino omega-3 with the polyphenols helps preserve your skeletal muscle. Also acts as a prebiotic. That's both the omega-3 and the polyphenols. That's gut health. Gut health is for mental health. This is crazy. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna follow up on the test, but you want a test, reach out to me. When I saw this test, I was like, everybody needs a test. And then I discovered that they have a great product. So the test supports the product supports the test. Okay. And then something happened today. But before I go there, any questions for me about the role of insulin when you want to lose some body fat? If insulin is elevated, you're not losing fat. You cannot lose fat. We got to get the insulin levels down. And you want to learn how to eat, not just controlling blood sugar, but eat in a way where your insulin levels aren't elevated and staying elevated. That's why some people just have a really hard time losing weight. But when you have a coach, or any of our coaches, when you understand this, we can teach you and coach you, and then you're successful. Otherwise, you're just going to be guessing. And then some people, I get it. Some people just give up and they just go, you know what? I'm just not meant to be lean. I'm meant to live with excess body fat. And that's sad, because that's not true. Okay. What's up, Linda Jackson? Let's see. Linda says, I am fortunate that my doctor listens to me and run. Yes, Linda is a success story, and she's a coach. Linda is awesome, because I remember the first time I asked Linda to get her fasting insulin, they didn't do it. Fast forward, Linda has her doctor doing that. This woman has gotten off statins that she was taking for cholesterol. This woman has gotten off blood pressure medication and statins. Both she had been taking for over 14 years. She had allergies, migraines, and she learned to eat the way I'm explaining. And so most of us, right, who get what I'm sharing, when you talk to someone who doesn't know how our methodology works, this is all new information to them. They think just got to eat less calories. They don't understand the science. And that's why I did put a link in here for you guys to read. Short little article I wrote to explain how weight loss works best when you think on how your hormones, insulin being a hormone, responds to food. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say that you went and you wanted a candy bar, or you wanted an energy bar, or you wanted some crackers. And on the box, it said low glycemic. If you heard low glycemic, what does that mean? Would that be a good product? And I really like you guys take a shot at it. High glycemic, low glycemic, either one of them. Would you buy a product? And I just had a client bought some cookies the other day, and on the cookie package, it said low glycemic. And she was like, if I'm going to get like some cookies, I should get low glycemic, because she's thinking sugar. I want to see what you guys think. I mean, I got some smart people. I got some coaches on here also. So tell me, low glycemic, do you buy it? Is that a better choice? Anybody want to take a guess? Guess. Well, she bought it and it said low glycemic. So what makes it low glycemic, right? So the score goes from 0, the index, the numbers from 0 to 100. If it's 100, right? If it's 95, if it's 80, if it's over 70, that's high. If it's, 50 to 70, that's like medium. Then under that would be like low. And so when people think of low glycemic foods, they think that's better for maybe losing weight. Right. And then you have those advanced that know a little bit more, and they talk about the low glycemic load. They start talking about the low, like the portion size. But here's my point. When you use primarily just sugar and just some cookies, right, it's going to measure higher on the index. But if you replace sugar with fructose or something high in fructose, even high fructose corn syrup or agave, is going to be low on the glycemic index. So they got you, right? They bamboozled you because in your mind, you're like, I'm going to get those cookies because they're low glycemic. I'm going to buy that pasta because it's low glycemic. I'm going to buy and choose foods that are low glycemic, and they got you. Because guess what? When they're low glycemic and they're in a package with a barcode wrapper, they're going to be high in insulin secretion. So if you understand what I just walked you through, you better understand weight loss, and you better understand the importance of understanding the role of insulin in both losing weight and gaining weight. It can be low glycemic, but go through the rifters when it comes to the insulin secretion. That wouldn't be good. Right now, we have the best method for identifying which foods will help you have low levels of insulin compared to high levels. Now, my coaches, they're being trained on this, like they know it, but we're taking everything to the next level, And that's why I wanted to have a sister program. So I've been working on this for a few months called the 6-week, Sandy, you'll like the name, Metabolic Makeover. 6-week metabolic makeover. And when I say metabolic, we're referring to like metabolic syndrome, triglycerides, your cholesterol levels, blood pressure, right? So it's speaking specifically to those people. Oh, yeah. It's getting good. It's getting good, people. Okay. Let me see. So Linda says, I'm thinking potatoes and potato chips. Okay, that's a good example. Actually, that's a great example, Linda, because that's true. So Linda's referring to, like, I actually have a slide where I teach this in the presentation. Hadn't even thought about this. Man, thank you, Linda. This is great. We got some masterminds on our team. Okay. So when you look at like a potato, okay, not all potatoes, but most, well, they all register pretty high. But I'm talking about a white potato. So most white potatoes on the glycemic index would be 95, right around that. But potato chips that are in a bag with the barcode register 55. Man, this is great, Linda. I can't believe it was right there. Because I give this example all the time. And a potato you dig up out of the ground. God made it possible for us to have these potatoes close to nature. Potato chips come from a potato, but goes through this crazy process. But when you look at the sugar response, right, the glycemic index, the potato in its whole state is 95, the potato chips 55. So if somebody was looking to control their blood sugar, they would go for the potato chips. But here's the part that Linda gets, and the part that I hope you all get. Yes, the potato chips are low glycemic, but they're high insulin response. That's not good. So when you go to the store, you see low glycemic on the tortillas and you're looking at it wrong. Right? Because at Trader Joe's, I can go buy, I think, 10 or 15 corn tortillas, which I buy once a week. And I think it's like, I don't know, a couple dollars, few ingredients. Those stimulate a low insulin response compared to Dave's bread and all of these highly processed things with multiple ingredients, but higher protein, lower on the glycemic. So we buy that because that's what the packaging is saying. See, I got to start sharing this kind of stuff on TikTok and all that. I know I got to do it because I've seen and I've had people email me, reach out to me, message me where they take things that I talk about and then they go and it goes viral on TikTok and some of these other platforms. Because this is good. What I just shared, if you understand what I just shared, you understand weight loss more than like, I don't know, 90% of everybody. You cannot talk about losing fat without talking about the role of insulin. And if I meet someone and they say, hey, Robert, and I think I was telling Susie this other day, they go, yeah, I just keep it to low glycemic. I know as soon as, and coaches who hear me on this, don't tell people that. Don't talk about food as high glycemic, low glycemic. Because if I hear that from someone, I know that they don't know what we know. Because once you understand the role of insulin, that's where the focus is going to be, not on sugar. If you don't get that, or at least you don't have a method, because there are some people that would get it. I get it. There's some people who actually would get it. They just don't have our methodology. They don't know how to teach people how to make fat burning meals. Like that's not, but they understand. Like there's people who do understand the role of insulin. There's a lot of people. There's some people who know insulin better than I know insulin. And I look up to them and I look at their work and I've learned a lot from them. And I do feel confident. I know it pretty well. I know it really well, actually. But there's people who know it better. And I can hang with them, but I'm sure there's some things they could teach me. But where we're in agreement is everything I just shared with you as far as insulin. There are people right now that you guys know if they address the role of insulin and understood it, man, their life would be so much better. And you know what? Get the test, because when you're in balance, like when you understand what this test means and you're using our balance oil, guess what that helps? That helps with insulin sensitivity. Anyone who has insulin resistance, which is almost every person watching me in the live or in the replay, you have some level of it. Omega-3s that can get into the tissues, ours, because it has the polyphenols, will help with that. Okay. Any questions before I go? I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to show you something. Then I got to go. Okay. Got to get on. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. And no questions for me. Okay. So, well, I have this product. I don't think you can see it. Can you see it? Oh, it's a collagen. And this company that I partner with is coming out with this collagen. I saw some before and after photos. I'm talking 10 days. You would think that person, and when you see, because you'll see these photos, you're going to think that they had Botox done. No. And the collagen that I am aware of the liquid collagen that I talk about and have talked about for years now. I'm going to put this one up against it. Now, we're going to know more in the next 6 months. But from what I've read about it, the makeup of this product, it just goes with, I mean, the guys, the men and women behind creating the balanced oil. They did a great job. That's a product that kicks everybody else's butt. They did it again. This could be, I mean, I can't see it because I know the importance of the balanced oil, but from a cosmetic standpoint or vanity standpoint or how people want to look, a quality product from Norway. Oh yeah. So sign up for my newsletter if you want to learn more about this, because it's going to be available any day now. And as soon as it's available, I'm definitely going to start sharing it with people. And I'm actually going to do a before photo of my face. I'm going to take this and document it. And then we're going to look at my face again. See if I look younger. I mean, I don't know, but we're going to see side by side. And I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it in the exact same clothes, the exact same position. I'm going to do everything the same. I'm going to, then I'm going to use the product, and then we're going to take the photo again and see. And I'm not going to change anything else. I'm not going to do anything different, right? Because I already follow our methodology, right? I make fat burning meals. I'm not walking around eating candy and then I would stop that, and then that helps clear up the skin or something. I'm keeping everything the same. Everything the same. And I like the package. I love it. Okay. Anyway, for those of you who I talked to before, we have a coach training. We may actually have a coach training. I'll send out an email. We may do it early, maybe tomorrow, Tuesday. We have a training for our business as well. So anyway, I'm only sharing that because I have a few coaches on this live call, but that was great. All right, you guys, I believe I did a good job at explaining it. You can share this video with someone. If they have the time, they could be driving, listening. Make sure you like. If you don't go to the YouTube page, go there every once in a while and just click like. Share it. There's a button on there. You can share it, and it'll go on. You can share it on Facebook. That's how I'm going to get the word out. But coming very soon, we will have every day a certain time that we're live. And I know that's going to make a big difference in growing this channel. Okay. All right, you guys. I'm done. Thank you. I appreciate you. Again, I share because I care. And until the next one, peace out.
No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With the DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps feel